it's Mitch with DrywallInstruction.com, and we're going to take a few minutes and go over attaching corner bead. Some of the little tricks and techniques to make sure that your corner bead is on properly and so that your mud goes on properly. I've got a corner here, and I'll show you in the picture that when you finish your sheetrock, you have to think about what kind of corner bead you're using. Again, in this picture, you've got the sheetrock is cut right up to the stud on both sides. It doesn't run over the stud. It doesn't come to a square corner. It has the opening at the corner of the sheetrock. This is important because with square metal, it doesn't matter so much how that's cut, only that it doesn't go beyond beyond a square corner. And some people do that too. They'll make the mistake of cutting it and it's not a square corner. So when they go to put their square corner bead on, it pooches out and it's crooked and it just doesn't look good. And so you need to make sure, if you're using square corner, that you have at least a square corner to put your corner bead on. With bullnose corners, you will absolutely need to leave the sheetrock cut right to the edge of the stud on both sides and have this opening, because the rounded corner goes around that angle. And so in order to get it on and get it on tight, then that corner has to be, corner has to allow the round to go across actually the corner. And so that's critical to do. If it's not just right, you'll try putting your corner bead on, it'll be crooked and it'll just be a bear. It'll make your whole project difficult and not turn out so great. So as far as nailing patterns go, if I have my square corner on here, I will, with my nail-on corner bead, I'll nail about every foot or maybe a little bit more. You might check with your codes in your area to see how much is required. But the biggest trick, the most important thing is that when I nail it, I make sure it's on good and square. I push it in. I make sure I'm looking at the top and at the bottom, and so it's not cocked one way or another, and so that when I put my first nail in, I don't go up against it and have to tweak the corner bead at that point. Once you don't start square and you're out of square, it's just a nightmare. You just have to put 100 nails in there to get it to not buckle out, and it's just a lot of extra time and work, and it's hard to mud and make look good. So just make sure that when you're nailing your corner bead, you make sure that you press your corner bead in, you get it square, you check top and bottom, and then go ahead and put the nails in. The same nailing pattern applies to both the nail-on bullnose as well as the nail-on square corners. And I've got a few pictures here that I can show you of kind of what that nail pattern looks like over here on the bullnose that I've got nailed on, as well as the square metal that I've got nailed on up above here. So let's go from nail on to tape on and talk about the right way to tape on corner bead. Tape on corner bead is pretty common. People like it. There are people that are sold on it. I personally do more nail on just because it seems to be faster to me, but nail on corner bead is a fine idea. The problem with nail on corner bead and do-it-yourself people that don't have any experience in drywall is it's really kind of easy to mess up. And so it's not rocket science, but I'm going to show you the right way to put tape on corner bead on. I'll use my taping mud, which is critical again. That's mixed to consistency for taping, and you can see the mixing taping mud segment of my videos. And I'll use that mud, and I'll go ahead and I'll put it liberally again on each side of my corner, my outside corner. So I'll make sure that I've got plenty of mud. One of the problems is, or a couple of the problems are, that people will take the mud straight out of the box and they'll put it on there and it's too dry and it doesn't bond. And so again, I'll go ahead and put plenty of mud on my corners. I do not have to fill in that corner. I just have to make sure the very corner of where the two sheetrock pieces come together, I just have to make sure that I've got plenty of mud up to and the edge of my sheetrock. Once I've got my mud on, I make sure that I don't have any bubbles and that I'm good and coated. I'll take my corner bead and I'll go ahead and press it on. Now, just like the square metal, I need to press it in and make sure that it's square. Make sure that it's not tweaked out on the top and the bottom. Make sure that it's good and square. Then I'll take my knife and I'll press really hard on the left corner of my knife as I wipe the tape. And I'll make sure that I pull all of that mud out of there. Now with tape on corner bead, the edges tend to come up really easy. And so I'm gonna go over this a few times and make sure that the edge of my tape is nice and tight. Most people, when they do this, their tape will bubble out because they're not wiping it properly, mudding it properly and wiping it properly, and it bubbles and it just doesn't work at all and creates a nightmare project. So now I will go ahead again, just push really hard on my blade, my knife blade, and make sure that I've got this edge really wiped down tight. And where I'm doing it into this corner, I've got a little rip right here. It makes it a little more challenging, but it is very doable. Once I've got that done, I'll double check because for some reason this paper edge can pull out and bubble out just a little bit. I'll make sure that I go through one more time and make sure that I've got a nice clean line, that my tape is nice and bonded well there. Now that is the tape on corner bead, and I wanted to show you one other thing, or a few other things, where drywall corners come together, where you have over here I've got a pony wall that I've built out, and you'll notice that I've got bullnose corner bead on it. And where the bullnose comes together, you obviously can't bring it together like a square corner. And I'm going to show you, I can show you in this picture how a square corner comes together, and that's a lot easier to do. If you'll notice, the two square pieces of corner bead come together and they form a perfect corner for you. Going back to the bullnose corner, there's a cool little product that they have that's a three-way corner for a bullnose, where a bullnose three-way corner. And so you can see in the picture, you'll be able to see the product and also how this comes together to make a perfect round corner where you have the bullnose coming together, needing to form a corner. Great product, and that's the way you'll do that. Now, let's take a quick look at how we cut corners to where they'll meet. Either a square corner where they come together in a corner such as this, or a bullnose corner, the same idea, where for example, this would be a good example where you have two bullnose corners come together and you want to cut a nice corner. We'll start with the corner bead, the square corner bead, as you can see in the picture. If you cut the corners back of it, you can put those two together and nail them, and they'll come together in a nice corner. And with the bullnose corner bead that you're looking at now, it's a little trickier, and it's something that takes a little practice to be able to make this cut on the end of a piece of bullnose corner. But once you figure it out, you can bring the two corners together. They make a great junction there that's easy to mud and to have a nice looking product. These are just a few of the techniques with corner bead. I hope this is helpful to you, and you'll continue to follow us here at drywallinstruction.com.